Renee.
Net.
Okay, today we're going to talk about how sexual abuse affects a person in the workplace.
Yeah.
Now, the first topic is, and I know you have some comments on this one, is the relationships between male and female, or female and male, and you'll go, but that's the same. It's not the same, especially if the male is the boss or the female is the boss.
Correct.
So go ahead and share your experience.
Yeah. When I was returning to the workforce after, having little babies, was ready to get back into work. And this was a dynamic that I noticed at one of my jobs. And it had a male boss. And I was trying to figure out, why is this uncomfortable? There was this uncomfort, and there was this almost this strain, like I wanted to be rebellious, whatever. And I realized it was because I had a male boss and I had many males around me. And I had to ask myself, why is this weird feeling going down? Why is this uncomfortableness? And it was because I was abused. The abuse was done to me by a male. And because of their authority over me, I had issues later, like in this job in particular. I had issues with the authority. The man was respectable, Christian man, kind, all that. But for some reason, I was just having this negative issue towards it being a male boss, male authority. So there's, and I'm sure there's more out there who also have felt that way.
Oh, I am sure. Sure. Another aspect with the relationships is just being comfortable in their presence. Just that comfortability, instead of just being around all women, but being in a mix of men and women, and being alone. So for me, going into the office to work with just one male that was sitting there, he'd want to be productive and get to work. And in the back of my mind, it's like, am I safe? I know this guy from work, but I only know him from work. I don't know what he does after work. And all these thoughts are flowing back there. And it's taken away from productivity. Okay. And it's not like I was sitting there frightened like a mouse. Those thoughts are going through my head, and that affects me at the workplace.
Yeah. Because you're trying to do the job, but your mind is doing other work while you're trying to do your real work. Same thing. And even on the male, the relationship thing, there's a inferior complex. That's how I felt. I felt inferior. And so I felt like, they had more value than I did. What they say is more valuable than what I have to give. And I know it's even a cultural thing. I know we had
that part I didn't feel because of the sexual abuse, but more culturally for me being Hispanic. It was the males they are the lordship over, and you don't want to, if somebody says, I need ideas on this, come on guys, tell me some ideas. I'd wait for the men to speak first. Even if I was an expert in that field, I would still wait for the males to get it out of the system, whatever they had first, even if I knew I had the answer, because it was a cultural thing I was raised with. Another thing is some people feel uncomfortable just in a carpool. So everybody parks their car, everybody's getting into one vehicle, but it's two girls in the vehicle, and 6 or 7 other guys in the van. And because the ratio is so off, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And no way to flee.
Yeah, there's this thing inside of them that says, this is not safe. This is not wise. So that affects, and it burns energy. It just does. And so it's really important to get down on, why am I feeling this way? How should I, in this situation, feel?
Yeah.
Am I being realistic? Even meals alone could be an issue. When you're going to a business meeting, you're meeting the person there. And what usually happens, if it's a man and a woman having a business meeting, the waitress doesn't know that you're having a business meeting if your notes and everything else aren't out. And she'll make a remark, maybe like you're a couple or it's your husband. And that becomes super uncomfortable because you're not relating to the other person as your spouse or anything like that. But that is normal, that the waitress would sense that. And so that could be an issue in there.
Right.
We had talked about the using over sexuality between the male and the females. We had that spectrum where there are those who have been abused on the far side. They don't want anything to do with having an intimate relationship with anybody.
Yeah.
And then on the other far end of the spectrum, exaggerated,
Right.
they will meet somebody for the first time and have an intimate relationship with them. All of that going on just very quickly. And it doesn't matter to them because they're not a virgin anymore, and or they have no worth, their self-worth is just not there, type thing. So because of that, they naturally have used in the past, and they still do to this day, their sexuality to get what they want, and or they go ahead, somebody, the boss could take them to a meal, says, I'll just drive you home straight from here, and I can pick you up in the morning, and then you can get your car, do that. But because they gave them something, a meal, a drive home, they feel obligated to sexually give them something back because they know that would please the boss, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've seen that quite a bit, and that affects the workplace and, of course, their behavior at work.
Yeah. And then you talked about the other extreme, the absolutely no, sexual drive or, promiscuity. The other side, you could have that extreme of hypervigilance of, oh, they just brought everybody treats, but they smiled when they brought me that treat. Or, they'll misread kindness.
They'll misread, boy, you really look nice today, or something like that. And they'll go, oh my goodness. And it's, like you said,
yeah,
over the top the other way.
It could be, yeah. So a lot of that peddling going on in the head when none of that is really happening in reality. So back to what you said, ask the question why.
Ask the question why. Is it
Right.
realistic?
Staying in that, yeah.
Yes. Another one is authority figures and control. To the point of, well, they're the boss. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, yeah. Will I be judged if I speak up? Will I be punished if I speak up?
And you might be, but you won't find out unless you speak up.
Oh, yeah. But I think that the sexual abuse creates an anxiety even around that.
And fear, yeah. Anxiety
yeah.
and fear.
Yeah, because the person who we were abused by, there's an authority there's an oppression that was created over us, and a control that we no longer was able to have when that happened. And then you go into healthy environment at work, you've got an authority figure and they're like, hey, you're not doing so great, or whatever, let's improve in this direction. You can read that so much deeper than what it needs to be read, as well as we can fight it also and be
stubborn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And non-respecting, thinking, well, they're overusing their authority, or there's a lot of reasons behind that one. And we don't know how to practice the healthy conflict. We've only been told you're superior, I'm inferior, don't test me, don't whatever. And then when you get into the work environment, you don't know that you can speak up and it can be healthy. You don't know that you can protect someone else if you need to speak up for them.
Absolutely.
It just makes it a little more difficult.
Yes. Well, I think you mentioned the PTSD, and of course, this is also for people who haven't been sexually abused or assaulted, but these are common ones. The top, to me, common ones that you and I run across when helping people with the PTSD, and that's substance abuse. It will interfere with their focus. anxiety. We had talked about that several times right now. And also the people-pleasing behavior. That's huge.
Yeah. Even to the point of overworking. I was thinking about that. Like, yeah, we'll even overwork or we'll put more into a project that is necessary. That's something I've been guilty of.
Well, we'll talk another time on people-pleasing, but definitely that is huge. It really is. And it affects not just the person who's been the victim, but their family
Yeah.
and everybody else at work.
Yeah. It's the hypervigilance to be perfect. Just hypervigilance to just, yeah, there's so much around that one. But that plays into it as well from the past into the work environment also.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for discussing it with me today.
You are welcome.
All
Thanks
right. We will talk again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.